The death toll continues to rise in Texas, where the search is ongoing for victims of devastating flash floods over the weekend. And the Justice Department now says there's no evidence that Jeffrey Epstein kept a list of his clients. Good morning, I'm Kristen Wright from NPR News, and here are today's top stories. It's a race against the clock to find survivors of the devastating flash flooding in Texas. Hope is fading at the same time. Ryan Logue is a volunteer with the United Cajun Navy. He spoke to ABC News.
We're out there early and we're out there till we're falling over. When you looked at these guys, we're exhausted. They were emotionally tired by looking at the devastation, finding children's Bibles on the ground, looking through people's wreckage of their life. It takes a toll on you.
Logue also explains how volunteers are clearing masses of debris in search of victims. He says the search area is expansive, with just piles of debris the size of multiple 18-wheelers. The death toll from the July 4th floods keeps rising, with many people still missing today. The number of lives lost has surpassed 100, including 27 girls and counselors who were at sleepaway camp in Kerr County. Questions are intensifying over how officials reacted to weather alerts, forecasting the possibility of flash flooding and the lack of an early warning siren system. Texas's Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick told Fox News Monday the state would pay for a system in Kerrville by next summer if the city can't afford it. President Trump's Mideast envoy, Steve Witkoff, is headed to Qatar, where Israeli and Hamas officials are negotiating a ceasefire in Gaza. Trump has said he's hopeful for a ceasefire deal this week. NPR's Daniel Estrin reports from Tel Aviv.
A senior Israeli official told reporters that Israel and Hamas have resolved 80 to 90% of the terms of a ceasefire deal, but that it could take more than just a few days to reach a final deal. The agreement would include a 60-day ceasefire, exchanging hostages and prisoners. The main disagreements include Israel's demand to keep troops in a corridor captured in recent months cutting across Gaza, and Hamas's demand for guarantees that talks during a ceasefire lead to a final end of war. Trump and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu met yesterday in the White House. Trump said the U.S. will hold talks with Iran following the U.S. and Israeli strikes on Iran's nuclear sites. Netanyahu said he'd like a security pact and eventual peace between Israel and Syria. Daniel Estrin, NPR News, Tel Aviv.
The Justice Department and the FBI say they found no evidence that convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, who died in prison, kept a client list or blackmailed prominent associates. NPR's Ryan Lucas reports.
Those are some of the conclusions contained in an unsigned 2-page memo outlining the quote-unquote exhaustive review the department conducted of the Epstein files in its possession. The memo also states that Epstein died by suicide, which aligns with previous department findings. Epstein died at a federal lockup in New York City in August 2019 while awaiting trial on federal sex trafficking charges. His death fueled conspiracy theories, in large part because of his ties to the rich and powerful. It's unclear whether the DOJ review and its conclusions will tamp down those theories, particularly since Attorney General Pam Bondi said when asked in February about an alleged Epstein client list that, quote, "it's sitting on my desk right now to review." Ryan Lucas, NPR News, Washington.
There's word this morning that you may not have to keep taking off your shoes at security at some airports. Multiple reports say the TSA is ending the requirement. The agency, though, hasn't made an official announcement just yet. President Trump set a 25% tariff on goods from major trading partners, Japan and South Korea, and shared letters he sent to several countries setting new rates and offering negotiations. The new tariff deadline is August 1st. California Governor Gavin Newsom is condemning the sudden appearance of federal immigration agents at a park in Los Angeles. Officers and National Guard troops fanned out through MacArthur Park Monday morning on foot, horseback, and in military vehicles. The park is in an immigrant neighborhood.
I want folks to know we have your back, and we'll continue to come back and do what we can to protect our diverse communities, to protect the spirit that defines the best of this city and our state, and to push back against this cruelty.
It is unclear if any arrests were made. Newsom is suing the Trump administration over federalizing the California National Guard to oversee immigration enforcement. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is standing by his reforms at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. As NPR's Will Stone reports, several medical groups are suing Kennedy over his vaccine policy.
The lawsuit takes aim at Secretary Kennedy for removing healthy children and pregnant women from the COVID-19 vaccine schedule. More broadly, the suit critiques what it describes as his efforts to undermine trust in vaccines. The groups behind the lawsuit include the American Academy of Pediatrics, the American College of Physicians, and the American Public Health Association, as well as a pregnant physician who says they've been unable to get a COVID shot because of Kennedy's actions. The suit also cites Kennedy's removal of a panel of experts on a federal vaccine committee. It asks for the court to reverse Kennedy's changes to the COVID vaccine schedule. Will Stone, NPR News.
A Swiss drug regulator approved the first malaria treatment specifically designed for newborns and infants. As NPR's Jonathan Lambert explains, the drug fills a long-standing gap in treatment for the deadly disease.
Roughly 30 million babies are born in areas with high malaria risk across Africa. There's not great data on how many are infected, but children under 5 account for nearly 3/4 of malaria deaths in the region. When cases in newborns and the smallest infants get severe, doctors had been giving drugs designed for older children in smaller doses. But babies metabolize drugs differently, so that strategy can potentially cause toxic overdose. The new formulation is called Coartem Baby. It was specifically formulated by the pharmaceutical company Novartis for newborns and small infants and can be dissolved into breast milk or formula. Approval in several African countries with a lot of malaria is expected in the coming weeks. Jonathan Lambert, NPR News.
Mounds of trash are piling up in Philadelphia. Municipal workers have been on strike for a week now. The union represents about 9,000 city workers. They want better pay. Negotiations are supposed to resume today. The city has set up temporary drop-off trash sites, but it's having trouble with people dumping all kinds of things. I'm Kristen Wright, and this is NPR News in Washington.